Okay, so picking up where we left off, all I did was click on File, Save Scene, and I named it, which is what this icon here is for. So let's start making the color picker. So let's click on this. Let's name it red. Let's name this one green. And we'll name this one blue. So for red, we'll click on the color. And actually this is exactly what I'm talking about having a color picker. So this is obviously a much smaller scale, but it still gets the functionality into there. And then blue. Right. So, what we're going to do is this. Ultimately, we'd probably want to extract the color that you're clicking on. That way this scales, because we could just base it on the name, like if you click on red, then set the color to be 1, 0, 0, so all red, no green, no blue. If it's green, then it could be color 0, 1, 0, no red, all green, no blue, that kind of thing. But I think it's better to actually extract the color rather than basing it on name. And that way you're actually grabbing the value, that color value, and transferring it to another object. Let's create a new script. We'll call it color picker. Click on our 3 objects. Oops, green. No, red, green, blue. That's what I wanted. And we'll put our color picker on all 3. Add component. Physics 2D, box collider, trigger. Just like the other icons, need to have a box collider so it's clickable. Now, what we need to do is right now there is no color on the dot. It's just the default white color. So let's go into the dot color script and create a new variable. So, well, actually, let's go to the Paint GM and let's see if we can keep all the static variables in the same place this time. So public static color current color. Let's save that. Now, when we click on these, we want to capture the color. So, let's open Color Picker. And again, we're going to use on mouse down, void on mouse down, and paint GM dot current color equals get component sprite renderer dot color. So this is saying take the color of the object that the script is attached to and drop it into this variable. And actually, when we do that, let's print it out. So again, when you introduce new functionality, you want to test it. So debug.log, and we'll have it type out paint GM dot current color. on this. We'll click on this, and there we go. RGBA, so red, green, blue, and alpha. Excellent. So we are successfully capturing the color that you're clicking on, and we are transferring it. We're capturing it and putting it into a variable, and now we need to transfer it. So we're going to go back to dot, since this controls the dots you're clicking on, and let's put it in here. So get component sprite renderer, and this is going to look very familiar to what we were just looking at, color. But now, rather than capturing a color, we're going to set the color. So equals paintgm dot current color. That should do it. So this script is attached to the dot, and so start, when the dot gets instantiated, it's going to look to see what that variable is. So let's click on red, and then we draw. Drawing red. Let's click on green, drawing green. Blue, drawing blue. And you can just check to make sure the other stuff is still working. So we're clicking on the eraser, and it is indeed erasing. Now, as you can see, it's getting some flicker, and the reason why that is because everything is technically the same order in the layer. So I'd say a quick fix would be that whenever you change color, you could change the order in the layer, because inherently one line would be on top of another. That just kind of makes sense. So let's, I guess what we can do is we create another static variable, and it is we'll make it an int, and we'll call it current order. And whenever you click on the color picker, we're just going to increase the number by 1. So paintgm dot current order plus equals 1. So it's just ever increasing by 1. So that should get rid of that kind of flicker we're just looking at. Because now that should be ordered in layer 1, and now this should be ordered in layer 2. So let's do some erasing. Yeah, I think that's doing it. I think the flicker that you're seeing now is the fact that you've got dot on top of dot. So what's happening is it's not deleting both dots at once. Like that, it deleted the green dot but left the red dot. So using this method, you're going to have some flicker like that. But I think that took care of the worst of it. So, and also you're using a very precise, like we said, it's only the pointer, or the very tip of the mouse pointer. So I think once we have a legitimate eraser, you're really not going to notice that. But definitely we've taken care of the layer issue. So now what we can do is we could also change size. So if we move this over, we need another icon next to it. Let's do game object create empty, call it size up. We'll add a text mesh, and it'll just be a big old plus sign because you're increasing it. Character size, go shrink it to keep it from being blurred. I have no idea why it works like that. It just does. And font size, let's make this 22. And font Arial. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, okay. I'm going to add Physics 2D, Box Collider, and what we'll do is we can use that same control script that we're using for the other tools. And we just keep with the same logic. You're checking it's being on void mouse down, so when the mouse is clicked on the object that the script is attached to, and this time it's going to be size up. And we're not going to change the tool type, we're simply going to change the size. So we're going to have a new variable. So again, we'll come back to Paint GM. So public static static float current scale. So I think you're getting the sense of what we're doing here. Actually, this one will set to 0. The other one set to 1 rather. So you can see that we're looking at, okay, what's the color that this circle is? What's the order in the layer the circle is? What's the size? We're just changing more and more attributes. So we'll save that. And now we'll go back here, and in the start section, just as we say, okay, what color is it when this circle gets created, we're also going to do its size. So get component transform local scale equals new vector 2, and we're going to have both X and Y change. So it's Paint GM dot current scale. Probably could try to drop the 2 coordinates into 1, but that's alright. This way we can actually, if we can actually come back and create 2 separate scales if for some reason we wanted that. So scale the X and Y by that amount. So tool control, if you click with the mouse, so we said that if you're clicking on the plus sign, it's going to be Paint GM dot current scale plus, I just thought of something. This is a float, so we got to add an F. And whenever we make a change, we have to add an F. So plus, we'll say 0.5 F. It's kind of a big change. You'd want more minute changes than that, but want you to be able to see what's going on. So I think that should do it. So we created an object. We added the script. Oh, Box Collider 2D needs to be set as trigger. And that's a common thing. All these that we want to click on has the Box Collider has to be set to trigger. Has the script. Doesn't like something in tool control 2851 28 plus equals, sorry, typo. Whenever you're trying to do an increase, it's plus equals. I just had plus, so sorry about that. So I believe that should do it now. So That's the original size. We'll click on plus, and as you can see, it definitely increased it. We'll click on plus again, and it made it even bigger. So again, really easy to make these changes. So we still haven't fixed the fact that dots are being drawn here, but like I said, that's the least of my concerns. I'm just trying to get build up all these individual functions. So now you've very quickly been able to change the color and change the size in this one quick lesson. So I think that's enough for one lesson, actually. So let's pause here and then see what we can add in the next video.